Hello guys, welcome to my next episode. Today we are talking about new Beetle, but in most sporty version, the Turbo S. Besides the RSI, which was very limited, this one was the king, the top trim level Turbo S available only in the USA. Today I will show you around, I will tell you what to look for if you want to buy one, and a little bit about the driving experience. Let's go. In the late 90s, there was a demand for cars with a retro classic look. That's how new Beetle, PT Cruiser, and so on were popping out at the dealerships. But that's also a very useful feature of this car. It's based on the Golf 4, so all the parts are easily available. It's a lot to choose from, so you won't be left without possibility of servicing your dream car. So it's very good car to use as everyday driver. Not only the Turbo S, of course, but also a standard versions that are right now extremely cheap. So maybe it's time to look for it till they are so available. Now some general overview of a new Beetle. It was released in the late 90s. It was a reminiscence of the original Beetle that all people loved. So that was the car to have in the early 2000s and late 90s. It was retro style. It had a lot of cool features, which I'll of course show you. And it was also very useful. It was, in the end, the Golf in better looking way. And then in 2002, the Volkswagen came with a Turbo S version of a new Beetle. It was only available in the US, so it's quite rare. There are not many, especially in Europe, and they've got significant updates to the standard Turbo, which was also a quite nice car to drive. But here we've got some sporty features that are especially connected with a driving experience, but also some tweaks to the look of the car. So let's see what are the differences between the standard Beetle and this Turbo S version. First, we shall focus on the front of the car that was really redesigned, completely different from bumper with additional lamps right here. It looks the business, it looks meaner than normal cute Beetle. So it adds a sporty flavor to the overall design of the car. Now let's take a look at the side profile of the car. It may not change a lot, basically it didn't change at all, but I want to put your attention to the wheels. They are called Delta wheels. They are especially designed for this car, and as may don't be maybe as special as you are just now watching it, if you look at the curves of the wheel, it's really something special and something different from what Volkswagen used to give us as alloy wheels, because they are strictly boring. This one is really designed in different way, so it really emphasizes that this is the special one. Now let's talk about the rear of a Turbo S new Beetle. As you can see, it's also hardly redesigned as the front of the car. This particular one has additional spoiler here. It wasn't factory, so that's an add-on, but this one that opens about 80 kilometers per hour is really nice addition, but you have to remember that normal Turbo S also has it. What Turbo normal doesn't have is this special bumper right here. It's got a real diffuser with space over here. It's got different design also with a lamp, and the only one that has the real exhaust that you can really see. It also gives a nice sound, especially for four-cylinder turbo. And of course, the badging. Turbo S badge is an obvious reminiscence of Turbo S in Porsche, where Turbo S means top version. Also here, Volkswagen decided that top trim, top power level will be Turbo S. It may not have 600 horsepower, but 180 was enough for this car. And here is the engine. The 1.8 turbo from VW, the famous 20 valves engine, which is very, very good for tuning. So this 180 horsepower may not seem like much, but with ease you can get more than 200 horsepower, which is quite a lot for a car that weighs about 120, 130 kilograms. It of course connected with a 6-speed manual transmission. There were only manuals available for the Turbo S. Right now, a few words about the interior of a Turbo S. As outside, also inside has significant changes compared to the standard one, even the normal turbo. So, at the first, we've got sporty seats with two-tone leather, black, white. Then we've got steering wheel, maybe similar to this what you've got in normal new Beetle, but here with a real aluminum. And of course, the manual transmission 6-speed. Then some other small things, but quite important in sporty car. So we've got stainless steel pedals. We've got some other trimming here. We've got full black interior, only with those white inserts from leather. Then, as we move on, we've got a lot of equipment, almost everything you could possibly have in those years in New Beetle. So we've got sunroof, we've got heated seats, we've got AC of course, we've got good stereo with a CD changer. So quite a lot of bits for such a small and not so expensive car. Of course, such a fancy little car won't be itself without some quirks. Of course, the most famous one is this place for flowers. Here we've got original Volkswagen accessory in this place. Then we've got, of course, hinges here as in the old one. Then, as we move on, we've got a grab handle. It's also a reminiscence of the classic Beetle. So quite a lot of things to make you feel like you almost have the rear engine air-cooled one. Then also those gauges here up there, also something that users of the original Beetle should recommend. Then about the general quality of the interior. It's not great, a lot of hard plastic, but everything is well put together. So especially in such a high trim, it's a nice place to spend time. Now let me take you for a drive with a Turbo S. Let's see how it drives. Let's go. Okay guys, so let's go for a trip in the Turbo S. New Beetle, of course, not 911. So, first of all, it's quite spacious car, especially for its size. You've got a lot of room at the front, also at the rear, as it's only 4 people carrier, so no problem with packing 2 even adults in the rear. At the front, headroom is huge. You've got large dash going almost a half meter in front. so it emphasizes the feeling of space. About the quality, I already told you it's not very great, as it always would be in late 90s, early 2000 cars. The producers didn't make much effort in this matter, but everything is quite well put together, so there are not huge rattles, squeaks, and so on. Nothing is falling apart, and it's if the car is kept well, everything looks good. But this car may suffer from bad maintaining, especially inside, because some of the central plastic may be used or scratched a lot, really a lot. I had a few new Beetles, not only Turbo S, so I know what I'm talking about. But going to strictly Turbo S, the main feature here is 6-speed manual. It wasn't available on any other version, so closer ratios. You can use power of the engine more, especially that here we've got engine that was used in Golf GTI, this 180 horsepower version, the only real GTI that came out in Mark IV edition. And also it was used in Audi TT. Basically, this car, also the Golf, in the front wheel drive version, is the same as TT or the Golf GTI. Here we've got also a little bit better brakes, but they are not really that good. If you want to really push this car, you should think about fitting bigger brakes, which is not a problem as it's a VW product, so you've got a lot of parts to choose from. But the gearbox itself, the whole engine situation and the gearbox, it's really nice to use. Yeah, it's got some grunt, of course, as you imagine. As it's a light car, this engine is known for having even a little bit more power than the producer's claims. So, really nice daily driver. If you don't fancy those new models, maybe not even a Turbo S, as it's quite rare. But if you want a rare car, a collector's car, I would say, oh, you heard the wing closing. So it's really nice car to drive every day, and it's really unusual. It's maybe not so a huge head turner, but people are interested in it. It looks much different than any other Beetles. One more thing I want to talk about is the next generation of the Beetle, because Volkswagen produced a newer version based on the next generation of Golfs. That one, as in total, it's better car maybe, but it lacks some special features of this one, of the new Beetle, that were connecting this car with the previous generation, the first one. So, in my opinion, that car wasn't doing its job, because if you wanted a useful car, a normal car, you simply bought a Golf. So there was no point in choosing a Beetle, which was, in my opinion, a three-door Golf without any special features, quirks, and so on. This one has them. Even the look of the car is more cute. It's not vulgar or something like that. The next generation had, the wings, so on, double exhaust. I think it's not the case in those cars. If you want something with more pose, you are simply choosing other car. Maybe that's why also VW doesn't show us the next generation because the sales were low. This one was a hit. It was a hit, especially at the beginning. Then, as the time passed, it quite fall behind the competition, and it was getting older and older and older. As far as I remember, I may be mistaken, but Volkswagen produced it till 2012. So it's really a lot of time in motor industry. But as for example with Fiat 500, maybe the sophistication of the car isn't the selling point. The selling point is the feelings that you have with this car. I really have a soft spot for retro models like 500, both Abarth and Fiat, the Beetle, and other cars like this, as it's something nice. It's something that makes them stand out from the crowd, from the cars that are very similar to each other, as all of you know. Nowadays everybody wants SUV, a crossover or something like that. So choosing something like this, Turbo S or normal new Beetle, as a daily driver, first one, it's cheap, not only as a car to buy, but also as car to maintain. As I told you, golf parts. It's a real win-win because they are cheap, they are available, and the car is really reliable. So if you are looking for a Turbo S, the main thing, it has to be the original Turbo S. That's very important. Then you have to look for special elements of the Turbo S. If they are in good condition, as these are really hard to get, especially as original parts. Then the rust. That's the main enemy of this car, as the mechanically it's really dependable. It's bulletproof even. But the rust of the downside of the car, the rust behind the plastic arches, because the arches of the car, both in front and rear, they are made from plastic. And as the time passed, the dirt gets there. There may be a problem of corrosion, so it's worth to really look at the car before you buy it. The rest things, everything can be easily repaired, so no worries here. You don't even need a special mechanic that specializes in VWs, as everybody would be able to take care of this car. Even you can work by yourself. I'm not so skilled to do everything by myself, but I also like to change the spark plugs or something like that. It's that easy here. You can do it in your garage with no problem. So maybe once again a little bit push. Yeah, it goes. Even in the corners, as the suspension is stiffer than in normal cars, it really goes. It gives you a confidence, as in all VW products, especially from this era. But here the steering is still hydraulic, so it's got the nice feel. You know what is happening with the wheels. Maybe it's not the most precise, but hey, it's 20-year-old car. Don't expect it to be as sharp as nowadays sports cars, but it's good enough. Also, the mechanical grip is good, even in tight corners. Yeah, it's quite some fun with this car. But as you drive it slowly, normally, it's also quite economical for its age and power. Here also comes the 6-speed gearbox. It helps you with a 6th gear if you are doing longer journeys. keep the revs down and the economy goes higher. Anyway, of course, you've got to remember it's just a front-wheel drive car based on the Golf, so there won't be many frills. You don't have a multi-link suspension at rear, so also in tight corners you feel that this rear end is not as glued as you would like. But in total, it's very nice car to drive. At the comfort side of the thing, it's not as comfortable as Golfs, but you can really with ease live with it, especially here on those standard 17 inches Delta wheels. There is quite a lot of rubber, so no problems. You don't have to be afraid of every pothole that you may encounter. And maybe a few words about the stats of this car, because they are not easy obtainable, as this car is quite rare. 180 horsepower lets you get to 60 about 7 seconds. I measured this car, it's 7.1, my best attempt. It can go right over the 220 on the highway, so it's also, I think, enough for this size of car. So quite reasonable economy, quite good performance, even by today's standards it's enough. Remember that Polo GTI is 6.7, so it's still around this pace. It's a really nice car if you will be able to find it. Guys in US have much easier task, but as I know the market, it's right now it's hard to get a good Turbo S, as they came really down with the price, so they were cheap. People were really trashing them. So right now getting a good example is not easy task even in USA. But as you get it, really it's a good car to keep, as you can keep it running cheaply, and you've got really something special, something that not everybody can have. So what's my summary of this car? Cheap, good looking, in this version a good performance, and it will be a future classic, as in my opinion, but also in opinion of other people. Some my friends from abroad also were looking for Turbo S's, as it's got quite enough performance. You can easily even bump it up. Right now the RSI versions, which have a V6 but 224 horsepower, so it's not much more, and it's heavier, so the performance may be equal if you do a little cheap with a Turbo S, and it's much more usable, as RSIs are one, very expensive right now. They were really limited, and they are not so easy to maintain as the Turbo S, as the RSI have much more its personal parts. So you have to keep it in mind. You are buying almost a concept car. And that's how the new Beetle Turbo S 2003 drives. It's not the quickest car on the road, but it gives you a lot of thrills. It's easy and cheap to maintain, and it's very rare, especially here in Europe. See you next time. Bye!